Episode 2 of the Chasing Elite podcast. Today we're joined with our first guest, and that's a special guest, of course. Everyone's favorite strength coach, Nathan Welty. Brian Casazza, Coach Sazz, welcome to the show.
Coach Sazz in the building.
Yes, sir.
Always.
One of our good friends here. We met Coach Sazz at Springfield. So, Coach Sazz needs really little introduction, to be honest. I remember sitting with Jungles before Sazz came to campus, and we found his profile picture on his football page, and we're like, dude, I hope this guy has that hair still. And he showed up to campus and he still had that hair.
He's Thor.
Yeah. So today we want to get into a little bit of Coach Sazz's philosophy. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to go in the time machine a little bit, go back to our first semester at Springfield. And I remember coming in our first class, we're doing an activity in class, and we're going through and comparing different exercises and saying like which one we would program or which one we prefer. And Coach Sazz and I were kind of the two meatheads of the group, if you will. And I think it's fair to say him and I have both changed a lot since then. For example, we're talking front squat versus back squat. Coach Sazz and I were the only two guys who wanted to put the bar on the back. And then everyone else, it was 11-2. Everyone else wanted to do trap bar deadlift. And Coach Sazz and I said, let's pick up a barbell. So I want to talk about, Coach Sazz, I'll open it up to you, how you've gone from that guy, meathead, a little bit, if you will, to a different kind of meathead who's pushing himself in a different way. So if you could just talk about how your philosophy has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, still important to pick up barbells. Just now I like to drop them as well. I guess that's one way to put it. But Griff, we both came from like the football background of you bench squat deadlift, you clean. I feel like those are baseline foundational movements that you're going to find in just about every football program. So I came from that background in high school all through college, and saw a lot of results with it. I was moving weight. But you kind of get to a point where you're strong, but it's like there's got to be something else out there. You know what I mean? Like my squat went up, let's say 40 pounds in a year. I didn't get any faster. I wasn't jumping any higher. I didn't make any more plays. So kind of leads you to, okay, what am I missing? And then just obviously Springfield, you get exposure our first year interning with a bunch of different second years who have already gone to all these places, done all these internships. And I think I got lucky as hell having Jimmy and Shibs and PJ all to learn from. Shibs is at UMaine, Jimmy and CJ in the NFL. That speaks for itself. And then obviously we all go do our internship, and I get thrown into the most triphasic internship not under Cal that you could probably ever do outside of now IHT. So obviously I was with Corey Peterson over at St. Thomas. Shout out Corey. What a beauty. And then here at Velo with Welty. And so Welty interned under Cal. Corey was his assistant, got exposure to that. And then in the afternoons here at Velo, Lock and Reed Workhorse is coming, and he's programming the lift. So now I'm getting exposure to Racehorse and all that stuff too, which is really cool because he has, I talked about it on the Gap podcast with Brett. Locken has no formal background, so it's all based on feel. And in the summers, he's focused on speed. So it's what makes me feel fast. And that was just a completely different way to think about things. And then obviously seeing Welty and Corey doing drop catches, heavy ISOs, whatever it might be, just kind of really opened up my mind to exploring that side of things. And then obviously just combining those, I'm hitting 2-a-days now. Y'all remember Springfield, I was basically hitting 2-a-days all spring. But my internship over at St. Thomas, I'm hitting APRE in the morning or clusters in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing racehorse, like probably the complete order you should not go for. Super heavy, max effort, and then really reactive, like speed work. But shit, the results were there. So that's how I got started. And then obviously just like talking to these guys, Welty is a beauty. Second week, he's like, yo, program for next week. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just got here. I just learned where the bathroom was like 2 days ago. And you're like, yeah, write a program for these guys who are, I mean, some of the best college athletes in the country, some of the best professional athletes in the world.
Got to get thrown into the fire a little.
Yeah. And then over at St. Thomas, pretty much same thing happens. I wasn't programming per se, but Corey ends up needs somebody to cover a group at 6 because we got some guys who have to go early. And I mean, I guess I had done enough to be tasked with that, which was a cool experience. Like, it's not often you go to a D1 school and they're like, hey, you're going to take this group by yourself. Like, you know what you're doing? So that was like, all right, put up or shut up right now. And like, they're having to explain to the athletes just the exercises like you learn yourself. I mean, if you're going to demo those, you better be able to demo them well. So, yeah. I think, does that answer your question at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah, everybody's got
It, yeah.
what?
It was like when you came back after that summer at Velo, it was
Oh, dude, I
it
poisoned.
was a different person.
I poisoned the water though. I was like,
But like,
hey,
when I said
everybody,
this on Brett's podcast too, like I needed that. And I gave credit to both of you because you guys opened my eyes to a lot of things that not that I was blind to, but I just didn't have exposure to. You know what I mean? Like when you went to Velo, it was clearly just a different world of strength conditioning that we didn't, or I didn't necessarily have exposure to. And when you came back, like that creativity and the things that you brought back, like it forced me to think and it forced me to be more of a skeptic. And I think, you know, that's beneficial in any program or protocol you're looking to create.
yeah, I think one of the best parts with that was like, you guys easily could have been like, yo, that's just like stupid. Like, you know what I mean? You could have shut it off. But I mean, pretty much, I'd say 80+% of our class took that and was like, yo, let's like explore this stuff.
Mm.
I mean, I've never heard of any other class getting impulses banned in the weight room. That was awesome. Shout out Coach Griff.
All right. After some some Wi-Fi issues over at Velo, we're back and kind of picking up the conversation where it left off. What made you a believer in those new protocols that you were exposed to, at Velo that summer? The drop catches, the impulses. What made you a believer in those? And instead of it just being a new shiny toy, like what made you want to apply it with athletes and within your own training?
Yeah, so I'll start with just like the results I got. Like I was saying, in May, end of first year, did DOM study, max bench press. Was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit 315. I'd never hit 315, hit 300 my senior year of high school, hit it my freshman year of college. 4 years goes by, you would think you could add 15 pounds to your bench press being in the college weight room. Gained 20 pounds, still didn't add 15 pounds to my bench press. Come out here to Velo. We're doing the full like racehorse, as Locken calls it, esoteric nonsense. Bands on the bar, drop it. I mean, oscillations just as fast as you can, 2 inches off your chest. And like none of it really like super heavy. Ton of upper plyos, just impulses, like ton of stuff that obviously I came back with, and like I like to say, poison the water at Springfield. And yeah, I mean, my bench press blew up 25 pounds in the summer, 30 pounds in the summer. So I hit 330 by the end of the summer. And the best part is like I hit 315. That same day I hit 320. I think like 2 weeks later I hit 325 and 330. So that was sick. And then, so I mean, obviously your bench blows up 30 pounds in 3 months. You're going to be like, okay, obviously there is something here that we were missing, so that was for me. And then with the athletes, it was just like, I'm seeing, I don't know what age these kids are. So like seeing kids in the college group or even in like some of the high school groups, and then I like just that, find out they're in high school, and I'm like, he's a freak. They're freshmen in college. He's a freak. I'm like, dude, do we just have freaks everywhere? Or and like, yes, we have freaks. Don't get me wrong. But like a lot of these kids, like they've just been here a while, and like over time, clearly Nate has something right because they start to look and play and act like freaks, even though they are genetically limited. So, but don't get me wrong, we've got our fair share of like freaks. I mean, we had a kid run a 107 5+10 this year because somebody beat him and ran 109, and he was like, "Oh, what do I need? 107." He was done. Just like goes back. He's like, "Oh, all right, 107 5+10." That's
I mean, that's a testament to how important competition is.
yeah. I mean,
Looking for output.
and that kid's 17.
Gosh.
Like that's a freak.
Have you? I know you came back to school and you worked with some younger athletes. And I know you're kind of working with a variety of ages over at Velo. How are you incorporating some of those things as a coach, let alone your own training, but in your programming and your protocols for those individuals? Is it less? Is it dependent on time of year? Is it dependent on the individual?
It's definitely less than like, I mean, you're gonna see college and pros do, especially our college group. They push. Like I'm not gonna have a middle school athlete go do pitch arc step ups. You know what I mean? Like we could get a lot of juice out of just a dumbbell step up first, and then I mean we could do step up jumps if it needs to be fast, and then start adding bands before we even get to just doing a pitch arc. That's a huge eccentric load going down with that thing, and then having to reverse it. So I'd say it's definitely more basic. I think I was so blessed to go to CC and literally just like, here's the keys to the gym.
Yeah.
They better pass their physical fitness test. All right, run them to the ground, do whatever you want.
Some of those videos you'd show me were unbelievable.
I mean, when people think they work hard, it's like, no, come here. Like, let me show you something. Like, I got these 15, 16, 17-year-olds. I mean, kids as young as like 9, 10, 7, 8, like running laps in the snow, doing whatever I say. Like, and that's like, I mean, that goes to show like the relationship we built. But it's not like it started that easy. You guys saw me in my
videos zooming in from 400 yards away as they're like running up a hill and back down.
I mean, dude, like obviously some of that stuff wasn't, me going out there and being like, yeah, I think we should, run downhill with weights in our hand. But it did allow me to like, okay, so I have a boss who wants one thing. I want another thing. How can we meet in the middle? And like, I could show him, hey, they're going to get just as much, if not more stimulus. Being able to, like, we've got the same goal. We want these kids to just knock people's heads off. They were boxers, for anyone listening. So like, I want these kids to go in there, be confident, know that they're not going to gas out, and like, I mean, feel fast and fresh the whole time, as fast and fresh as you could be, while you're throwing hands for 3 minutes at a time, which is actually exhausting. So if anybody's never gone and just thrown their hands for 3 minutes straight, go find a punching bag and tell me you're not gassed after 9 minutes of that. But yeah, so I was, blessed to have that opportunity. And the other thing with CC is we were super limited with equipment. Like I had like 2 racks, well, I guess 3, and then a ton of bands, which, just bands, med balls, like just allowed me to get so creative. And then like 2 boxes. We had like 1 set of dumbbells at each weight from like 70 on, or I guess 100 on down. But when you have 40 kids, it's like, okay, well, I guess one person's doing 45 pounds today and somebody else is doing 40. Yeah. Especially if you want 2 weighted exercises, it's like, okay, well, I got to put 140 over there, 140 over here. whatever it may be. But just finding ways to still get stimulus, even like without weight or, with that limitation was huge. So we did, I banded everything, banded broad jumps, banded pull aparts, banded kettlebell swings, banded drops. We did a ton of extensive plyos. I had to get in my bag with the extensive plyos. That was awesome. I'm making things up in the living room. I'm like, yo, Hotch, do you think this could be an exercise? Like, I don't know. Hold this band. Like, I want to see something. Or like, we're moving the table and jumping in my living room. Like,
like, honestly, think about how much you learned through that.
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many exercises in my head that like I made up, and like, yeah, I might see them on Instagram later, but in my head, I'm like, well, I made that up because I didn't see it before. The Sazz med ball.
Sazz rotational throw. Can we get some exposure on that, please?
I
catch it, spin, and throw it as hard as you can.
Dude, it's so fun. I remember last summer we needed a new med ball throw here at Velo just because we've exhausted all our options. And I'm like, hey, Welty, like me and my buddy like kind of just made this up, messing around. Let's do it. And he goes, why would we do that? And I go, it's fun. Like, dude, sometimes it's just that simple. Like, it's a fun exercise. It's still achieving the stimulus that we want. I want you to rotate and throw as hard as you can. And then you think about hockey, we could argue it's a sport-specific movement. You're rotating around and you pass the puck, you shoot the puck. Whatever it might be. You're not always facing the net when you get the puck. But my thing was like, it's just fun. It's cool. It's fun to do. And then some of our guys came back to me and were like, yo, that's like my favorite med ball throw I've ever done. I'm like, all right, sick. Like, that's cool because now you do it with intent if you like it, So
100%. And I think that has to be a part of exercise selection. You know what I mean? Like, yes, and I think maybe we could touch on it later. There's so much to seep out of like the foundational movements, like you touched on, especially with the younger guys. But it gets to a point where engagement needs to be part of that discussion of what is best for this individual, and doing the same thing over and over again, because you may have more to seep out of that, might not always be the answer. Yeah. So I think that's a good point there.
And especially working with like youth athletes, that's completely different than like a professional is like, okay, I have to do this so that I can do my job. Because like at the end of the day, probably Caden, you can attest, 90% of those guys probably don't love the weight room.
Yeah, it's definitely there's varying opinions on the weight room.
Same with, our pro guys, some days they'll push and I'm like, holy shit. And then other days I'm like, I'd rather coach the high school group right now. Like, but that's how it goes. They know that this isn't their goal. It's just a means to an end.
Right. But they understand that it plays a role in their development towards that goal. And ultimately that's, important.
Yeah. Versus like youth, I want them to have as much fun as possible. I don't want them to think it's training. I remember
build a relationship with the weight room that they're going to enjoy. I agree.
Yeah. But maybe this will segue into the neuro conversation. But I remember Central City, I started running goat drill. I get that. I might have went too far too early the first time because I was like, all right, we're gonna look at numbers. You're gonna subtract one. You're gonna wrap this tennis ball around your waist, go in this direction at a figure eight. And when I call switch, you're not gonna switch directions. You're gonna switch the ball. All right, ready, go. And these kids are like looking at me like I've got three heads. I'm like, look, it's simple. I do it. I watch them go. I'm like, all right, well, is there a lack of understanding or is there a lack of physical and technical ability to achieve the drill? So how do we simplify? Well, first it just turns into run a figure eight. And this is like one of the great things about Springfield is you do learn your progressions and regressions very well. So first it turns into run a figure eight, and then it's do it with a tennis ball, wrap it around, and then take away the tennis ball. Now let's do numbers so you're keeping your eyes up, and then now let's add that tennis ball back in. So by the end, I had them actually ripping the goat drill, and it was really cool to see that progression. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to dive more into that neurology aspect. So but I want to do it more from like the lens of the impulse training that you do. Like Coach Caden likes to say I'm not involved in social media, and I'm not that involved, but like I see some stuff. Like I have like 10
He's a
minutes.
grandpa on social media.
I have 10-minute allotment of social media per day. So in 10 minutes that I get, I do see a few things.
8.5 via Notre Dame accounts.
But can you speak to the impulses and like the neurological benefit that you see in those?
So with the impulses, and I'll preface this with I'm doing the chain shock course by Jared Burton right now, and I'm not done. But like one of the main things is obviously in sport you're handling force. So when they were developing these, they were looking at max voluntary isometric contraction, and then they were just testing exercises against basically the force outputs and seeing, what's close or what's going to surpass this. If you can handle more force, then you're going to have to produce in a game. Well, that's probably a good thing. And then what they found was that with bands doing like the impulses, they could get around 80 to 110%, I want to say, of that MVIC force. But with the chain and doing impulses, they were getting 100 to 1,000 times the force of the max voluntary isometric contraction. So there's that aspect. And then I'm assuming you guys follow Joe Padula, but what he just posted about was the strength at length aspect. So basically improving proprioceptive awareness of that joint when you're in like those super deep ranges of motion. I'm here sticking my arm out. You guys can't even see it, but like for a chest fly, I'm way back here. Doing an impulse back here is different than here where I'm strongest. So here I'm more so thinking of recruiting motor units. Here I'm basically improving my ability to sense where that limb is in space, which is exactly what proprioception is. Which, I mean, if you're going to cut, you should probably know where your foot's going, for example. I mean, that's just one simple. If you're going to pitch, you should probably, have a pretty good connection between your brain and your arm as to what that path is going to be and whatnot. So,
yeah, because one of the things that I did see Padula doing. I think he was on the reverse hyper.
yeah.
And he was doing like hamstring impulse at length. And like that's kind of one of the things that like sparked that question for me. I was like, okay, why? And I'm someone who like I do like to think about it from like a physiological perspective. So like I want to know what's happening with the brain, what's happening with motor unit recruitment, synchronization, and like all those things. Because of course anecdotal evidence is always great. But like I want to be able to understand it and then explain to someone why, not just because, I tried it and it works based on what I've done, but like I can explain it from a physiology standpoint or a neuromuscular standpoint. Someone.
Yeah, I think there's just so much still to be explored with the impulses, but like there's so much you can do. Like if you have guys who want to do them before a game, you could go do 50 to 100 reps and be potentiated as hell. Okay. You feel great like that in that range. Right now we're doing like 300 reps, and if anybody saw the video I posted where my hamstring just absolutely locks up on me.
Coach Kate, I had a couple good laughs on that one.
That was excellent.
I have
why 300? Like why is 300 that sweet spot for all these different variations?
Right now Slater's programming for us, which as you guys know, it's kind of nice to have somebody just program your stuff. Yeah. As far as 300, I think it's just the thing of like sending that signal over and 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 over again is going to, help create that pathway faster is how I would think of it. And just like reinforce, that pattern of whatever you're doing. But yeah, basically 300 because I think it equates to 5 minutes. The whole 5-minute thing with the ISOs is 3 minutes to break your compensation pattern, and then an additional 2 to basically start a new one. Or like start a new pattern, reinforce a new pattern, however you put it. So if you do 300 impulses at 1 second a piece, it works out to 5 minutes. I've kind of did 300 every day for the last month and a half.
And do you have to get to that 3-minute mark consecutively? Like you can't just accumulate that over a handful of sets, right? It's got to be one set straight to break.
Yeah. So the thing with the 5 minutes, because like, I'm sorry, a 5-minute Copenhagen is not doable. Is even if you break, as far as like you physically cannot hold that position. We had single leg GHD 30 minutes ago. I was in there, and I start straight like a board. By the end, my hips are here, my body's like this, but I'm still
into a slow lower.
Yeah, I'm still contracting as hard as possible. So that's the other thing with these 5-minute ISOs that we're doing right now is you're not just yielding. You are sitting there squeezing as hard as humanly possible, and it sucks. But kind of leaning into that is a really, I don't even know how to put it, like enlightening feeling almost. As soon as you're done, like you squeeze your legs for an entire 5 minutes on lunge and you get done, it's just like, oof. It's like,
so when you're doing lunge, what are you squeezing?
I'm squeezing my back butt cheek.
Okay. So it's like a stretch range. Like you're trying to pull yourself deeper in essentially.
So with squeezing that back butt cheek, what you'll get if you do it is just a ton of that back leg rec fem will just light up, and then I get my front leg glute med. Like I can literally feel where it wraps around.
Oh, dude.
And dude, oh man, going from that to GHD was tough today. But yeah, that's what you'll feel.
Are these 5-minute isometric stuff that you guys have programmed for any athletes you're working with? Is it stuff that you're just experimenting yourself in your own training?
All right, to say we haven't give athletes 5-minute ISOs would be a lie. Have we given them 5-minute ISOs in the way that we are doing them? No. We have given them like Griff, similar to what you did with basketball, like accumulate 5, or like 5 minutes in as few sets as possible. So things like that, especially for GPP. So the GPP I wrote this year was long duration yielding ISOs, which I think I only did like 2 minutes. If you can hold weight, awesome. So like sets of 2 minutes, and then it went into 30-second heavy yielding ISOs, like as heavy as you can do for 30 seconds. So just kind of building that tissue quality, and just tons of extensive plyos all throughout those blocks. And then we went into Mito.
Dude, I love Mito.
I don't know if you played around with that. Caden, I know you have a little bit. But Mito is, I don't even know what to say about it.
Explain it to
me. It's cruel and unusual punishment.
So basically, all right, you're supposed to do more of like an isolation exercise. So like if I'm doing chest, I would do like a chest fly. We have moved into doing compounds. So like, but the premise is 40-second overcoming isometric, followed immediately by a 60-second isokinetic. So unless you have an isokinetic device, that just means you're doing 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. Essentially works out to 15 reps. And yeah, normally you use, like I said, an isolation movement, but we played around with it, just using the concept. I think the worst one I did was probably trap bar overcoming into pitch shark squat. I mean, that was absolute quad burner. No, actually, time out. We did reverse Nordic overcoming isometric. I made this up. And then we did sissy squat. So you drive up in your reverse Nordic into the barbell at the lowest setting on the rack. Oh man, dude, you'll never feel more rec fem in your life. But yeah, that's the premise of it. Basically same concept of like a long duration ISO, except now we're getting into some dynamic movement. So I like that progression, just going from holding positions to moving through them slow. And then this summer we followed like the base triphasic, eccentric, isometric, and then our concentric is more drop catch / drop catch rebound, and then oscillations and AFSM and go crazy and look crazy and get into debates with jungles on Instagram.
All right. So talking about these impulses, you mentioned how you might have an athlete do like 50 to 100 for like a potentiation aspect. You said you feel great afterwards. Right now in your training, you said you're doing like 300 at a time. Just talk about like how you feel after doing 300 the day of, like immediately post, and then the day after. Like I'm just trying to figure out or understand like how taxing is it? Like what's the neurological cost?
Oh, it's definitely super taxing. I would say it's like a long duration ISO from the aspect like once you're in it and you get to like that 100 reps, that 150 reps, it comes time to like make a choice. Like you either stop and take a break or you just push through. And in the course, Burton actually talks about how the last 90 you'll like start to feel good, or like the last 75 reps you'll start to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying, you get to like 150 and that force like basically dissipates, like you're barely moving. Chest fly, for example, you're like barely putting in any force into that chain. When you do stick, it's just like you almost feel like it's just dropping right back down. But like those last 90 or 75, because I went 300 straight the other day on chest fly, it was absolutely terrible. But what you do find is like you're able to start putting force into that chain. And he talks about in the course, like that is literally you feeling a new pattern or a new like pathway being created. And then basically reinforcing it by being able to do that. So that's one of the cool aspects. Afterwards, you do feel like I don't even know how to describe the feeling. I've been through a lot of lifts, and
Yeah.
I would say the only thing similar would be like if you just do like a capacity Friday lift where you're sprinting a shitload. A boatload. But you're doing just like a ton of sprints, I guess. And then you have like that, when you're like kind of light feeling, like your legs feel kind of light, but like they're absolutely fried. I'd say that would be like a similar feeling, but I don't know. There's nothing like, I don't think there's anything exactly to equate it to.
Yeah.
I have gotten somewhat sore. I haven't gotten super sore from impulses alone, but it is hard to say, like, am I getting super sore from that impulse when I'm doing, for example, today we've got quad 300 straight leg kicks, hamstring prone 300 hamstring curls on impulse, and then 300 lunge drops per leg. So am I sore from lunge drop or am I sore from impulse? Am I sore from the 5-minute lunge I already did and the 5-minute single leg GHD I already did? I don't know. But yeah, like last week, I'll tell you, like after Tuesday, we went hard the first 2 days. I sent you guys that picture. I was actually excreting blood from my rectum. That's a very good way to put it. But like mass amounts to where you should definitely be concerned. If that happens to you, go see a doctor. But I'm not anybody else, so clearly I just kept going. Yeah, my mom's an NP, so I sent her a picture immediately and go, Mom, do I need to go to the ER? And she was like, no, you're fine. Just don't hold your breath when you deadlift. So yeah, it's been good since. How are you doing?
To me, there sounds like there's definitely some type of endocrine response going on too within that. Like,
Griff, second, this is actually a great question for somebody who just did 300 impulses. So Nate, the question is,
you got a special guest
immediately after you do that many reps on impulse. And how do you feel the next day? I kind of answered the next day part, but immediately after, like, what are you feeling right now?
Like just removed.
Just removed. So currently, right now, I actually feel better than the last time we did this. Yeah.
As far as like the exhaustion.
Yeah.
And like the neurological tags.
Yeah. The tags. I'll come back after I get my 600 drops done, and then we'll talk. That's more of a. I have to go and caffeinate before I do 600.
Fun fact: it takes you're going pretty fast. 26 minutes a leg to do 300. Yeah, well, yeah, 26 minutes to do 300 lunge drops on one leg.
Forgot I had this.
Straight.
Straight, yes,
Wow.
you can't stop. You feel a ton of hamstring. Yeah.
How much have you guys been sprinting currently in your training?
2 to 3 times a week. Wednesday
feel
we
like-
have turned into like a track day outside, which now temps are getting unfriendly for Florida man. But yeah, Wednesday we've been ripping parking lot sprints that have gotten progressively further. Last week we did 40s. So yeah,
We tried a big build up. We did 60 for one.
we did do a single 60. I think I ran slower than I did on the 1 yard start 40. So
Like when you think about the stress, the preparation that the hamstrings are getting from sprinting alone, right? There's nothing that can, match or exceed that in the weight room. It just makes me think when you're doing volume this high, like 300 of those, prone hamstring impulses, like what effect do you think that's having on your sprint performance? Because I think that times, and I'm sure you're in a block right now that you can accumulate a lot of volume, and we know how you feel about volume. But I don't think more is always better, depending on what you're trying to get out of it. Sometimes more is just more. So can you kind of like touch on how you feel that this extreme volume that you've been doing is affecting the way you sprint, et cetera?
well, actually, good news is our sprint times have been consistently dropping while we increase our volume, which I mean, relatively
We were 1%.
1% off last week. I mean, you'll give or take that any day. And based on how we felt going into Wednesday, my goal was literally a sub 5. I hit like a 4.91 on my first sprint. I'm like, Nate, we're done. Like that's how I felt. I think I ended up hitting 4.8 something, 4.84 maybe. I don't know, 4.81.
I think the way that we were initially taught, right? More volume is going to lead to more fatigue, and that more fatigue is going to affect your output, right?
Yeah.
But for you've been diving into training that the overarching theme of it is this extreme amount of volume. And for you to see your output increase, even with that included, can you, I guess for those listening that are, thinking to themselves, like, how is he conducting all this volume and his output's getting higher and he's not accumulating enough fatigue to really affect his sprinting? Can you kind of touch on why that's happening? Is the connection to the brain via these exercises the reason for that this, fatigue isn't affecting, how fast you're running, how high you're jumping, the way you're feeling, et cetera?
Yeah. So not to mention, I've been going to Austin Yoakum's gym in the morning at 6 a.m. and we're running clusters there. So, yeah, we do that in the morning and then whatever afterwards. But I think it is important to know volume's relative. If I give, a 6th grader 5x5 bench squat dead, they're going to get smoked.
Of course.
If I give what I'm doing to one of the pro or college guys, like they are going to be absolutely bagged, like probably get injured, honestly, or just do the exercise so sloppy that they get through it. So I think it's important to note volume's relative. The other thing is going back to what you mentioned, with all these exercises being like neurologically friendly. It's not like we're holding a ton of weight. We all know and have discussed how like brain healthy isometrics are. And then going into that, like a staggered stance is going to be better than a bilateral stance. Like it's just more brain friendly. Obviously we've got the metronome We'll get into that, but that's like this whole concept of pattern matching. Your body will do it. Like if you hear music, your foot will start tapping or your knee will start shaking. You'll start doing something to match that pattern without you even noticing, even bobbing your head, whatever it might be. So it's a bunch of neurologically friendly stuff per se, even though, physically it might be super taxing or it might feel like it in the moment. So I think that plays a role is like, even though, and Tommy John said it in an Instagram caption the other day, like your mind or your body will never want to train. But like once you're there, it's like, this is hard, but there's an aspect of like, this feels good. And I think just with it being programmed to be brain friendly, like it definitely helps with being able to get through it. And like kind of attack it, you know what I mean? And then
your body's really going to adapt to what you're doing.
Yeah,
no matter what it is.
that principle. I mean, and then I just think I'm somebody who enjoys doing really hard shit. I mean,
Right.
Like, so I want to get a little bit more into like the hamstrings specifically, like when it comes to sprinting. Like a lot of like,
track or something?
what's that?
You coach track or something?
No. I don't know. It's just like where my brain goes immediately for some reason. But like a lot of times, like people who have hamstring injuries, like they're fine until they're not. And like, the hamstring just pops. Like for whatever reason, it was that rep. There could be a lot of different factors, but like oftentimes you hear it. I'm not sure if there's actually, valid reason to say this a lot of times, but people will say that it's a firing, like
It's a firing
pattern issue. Yeah.
the pattern's wrong. Like
or like Cal will talk about the mechanism of ACL is a co-contraction issue or a firing pattern issue. It's one of the two. So either your soleus and hamstring are off and the contraction, all right, or your TFL is off and the firing pattern's wrong. So sorry, go back to your question.
Yeah, so like what I'm getting at is we hear firing pattern issue, and then everyone just wants to have this person start doing glute bridges.
Yeah.
Like, and how many times have we seen that be successful?
Yeah, I mean,
in my experience.
I think what's funny about that is if you're pulling your hamstring, you're probably not knee bent and hip extension. It's probably more so happening when your knee is extended.
It's happening
at the length of the part, you know what I mean? So like, why would we chase a glute bridge that's literally hamstring shortened?
I absolutely agree. So like, what do you see as the value in the hamstring impulse, like on the reverse hyper? Like, what do you see the value in that in like a return to play setting?
Yeah. So like I kind of talked about, it's kind of getting the brain comfortable and like locating, okay, like this is where my joint is in space, like this is where my leg is. And if you're comfortable at those deeper ranges of motion, and like Jared Burton calls it like the find my iPhone is what your body does when it doesn't know. And then I think when it's in that state is when you get the inhibition, the inhibitory effects of whatever your firing pattern being off, and then boom, your hamstring goes. And that's, I mean, like Tommy John talks about, like your body's always healing. So that's literally just your body protecting you from something way more catastrophic. And then obviously, like back to the impulse is if you can deal with those high forces being higher than what you can contract isometrically, we all know sprinting is what, 9 times body weight. I don't know what it is specifically for the hamstrings, but I think that's the soleus, but whatever, 6.6 to 9 times.
It's high, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's more than you're going to see in an RDL. We can all agree on that, or a glute bridge, or any regular weight room exercise that, we can do. So I think getting used to handling those forces higher, and then having that, my brain can locate where my leg is in space, just kind of help from that aspect. Would I rush somebody back at like just going straight into impulses for return to play? Hell no. We're gonna ISO to death. And that's just, getting comfortable in different positions that you're going to go through when sprinting before we're actually going to move that thing dynamically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it can play a part in return to play. Like you want that proprioceptive awareness. You want to, obviously something wasn't working as far as how much force you could handle that you were putting through that hamstring. So we should probably increase your tolerance to that force. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my take on that as far as the return to play aspect. But yeah, definitely like would be one of the later steps after, we can just walk around without pain again.
Yeah. I'm like, my brain's always thinking like whatever the injury was, if it is a firing thing, it's like my brain immediately thinks about why is that happening? Like why was the body firing out of sequence?
Yeah.
And
There's different reasons for it.
The thing with injuries is like we have no idea why.
Yeah.
It's just, and it could be anything, dude. It could be this kid got 2 hours of sleep last night. I mean, it could be he's having a bad day.
The injuries are so multifactorial.
Yeah, it could be something hormonal that we cannot see on the surface, and we're not going to be able to measure because his hormones are going to change from the track meet right now to 6 hours later.
No doubt.
I know you touched on, like, real quick, you kind of threw it in there about like if a rhythm is presented, like you're going to react to it naturally and probably not notice. I've seen a lot of things, and I know you guys constantly have that metronome going, and I kind of want to dive into that a little because it's something that I have, limited knowledge on. And Sam Davis just made a post, Neurology Fitness. He just made a post. I know it's your guy, kind of touching on it, and he's like, he provided, I think, an introductory benefit for those that aren't aware. Like he said that it can ultimately lead to faster contraction and relaxation cycles and prevent energy leak. And can you just touch on the purpose of the metronome and why you use it all the time within your training? Like while you're doing all these, impulses in different exercises, why is the metronome going? And where would you implement it in a protocol when you're working with athletes if it's something you think is valuable?
Okay, phenomenal question because I wanted to hit on some of this, but so I got it from Dan Fichter. So like anything Dan Fichter says is gold, take it, run with it. If he says it works, I mean, I'll message him later if it doesn't, but we're gonna try it first. I mean, don't do that with everything, but somebody like that says it, yeah, I mean, run with it. So he started talking about the metronome at Revolutions in Speed 2. Sam Davis was there, Jungles was there, Slater was there. Obviously, ever since July, everybody has seen 60 BPM all over their feed from all of us. And yeah, it was just something he dropped and showed us, videos of his weight room. So this will get into like how to use it with athletes or like ways he used it with athletes that I think are really cool. But yeah, it goes back to that like pattern matching. It's just something that the brain likes. And with me for ISOs, it's actually crazy. Like if I don't have a metronome now, there's no way I'm getting 5 minutes. There's no way.
Is it something like you're focusing on? Like what is
I count the beats. So I don't need
it's almost helping you pass the time. Like it's providing some level of
it does get annoying by like the end of the lift, but I don't know. It's just something that helps me. I know it's 1 second, one beat, and I sit there and I count to 300 and the ISO's over. In between we do cross crawl Supermans. So right arm, left leg, and that is to the beat. So we're actually practicing the pattern matching. And then with the cross crawl, you're getting that posterior lateral sling. Obviously, if we're getting into fascia and whatnot. But when you think about a Superman, you literally go the correct firing pattern. Glute, hamstring, upset QL are all going to turn on when I do that. And that's just, reinforcing that pattern. being brain friendly because it's a cross crawl pattern. Now, with how to use it with athletes, Victor got into this and I thought it was sick. Haven't really done it so much here. We've had them bench press through the metronome, but essentially you could use it like VBT. If you don't have VBT and we have let's say a dynamic effort day, I want your bench press to be fast. You go down on the beat and up on the beat and you're trying to match it. So he talked about, one, it's a way to accumulate volume at that speed. So instead of programming reps, you go till you can't match the beat. So once your nervous system's fried, you're not going to be able to match that beat. So let's say we're going really fast today. We have, 80 BPM on bench. Beep, 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 beep. Versus if I want more of a max effort, we're going to go, let's say 40 BPM. Beep, beep,
Wow.
beep, beep. So you could kind of use it like VBT in that way. And then, like I said, just the pattern matching is neuro friendly. So trying to incorporate that aspect into like a bilateral exercise like bench press. It's just one way you could make that neuro friendly. I thought that was like so sick when he said that. Like,
Yeah, to
on
me,
our
it's
fast days we put on 80 BPMs. On our slow days we put on 40, whatever it might be. If anyone wants to test it, you don't even have to use a metronome. Go put on 60 BPM music. Sprint. Wait, whatever, however long you want. Go put on 160 BPM music or 180, 190. We do 190 all the time. And sprint. If you don't sprint faster, I don't know what to tell you. But I mean, usually 90% of the time what we find is whenever that like high tempo music is on, we are sprinting way faster than whenever we have like slow country playing.
I've heard that before in terms of like marathon running as well. Like I've heard people matching up song choice to specific parts of the race. Like obviously you don't want to start out your marathon race with a high BPM because that last half of the race is going to suck because you spent all your energy in that first half. But like, my wedding's in 4 days. So like I'm practicing my dance, like my first dance. And I know that
you need a partner. Let me know.
This is anecdotal. Well, I know that when I lose track of my 8 count, like in my head, I get lost.
right.
And I don't know if that's just because that's what I'm focused on. That helps me to stay in rhythm, but there's got to be something to be said for that.
And there's clearly value in, I think there's just value in having something to focus on, especially when you're going through, like you said, the isometrics. Like I would do the isometrics outside and there's no metronome, not a lot of music, and you're kind of alone. And I think, although there's value in that, what'd you say?
Temperatures there, brother? Like 80.
Nice and warm. I can't complain.
I said
It's my point is like, we know that there's value in the mental fortitude that you're getting from high volume, long duration exercise, the things that you're doing. When you include something like that, that can almost act as a distraction in a sense, it's going to naturally, I think, make that time pass quicker. And so aside from the benefits that the metronome has in improving your performance and your patterning and all the things you touched on, I think there's value in that alone.
Constantly used to running 190 beats per minute, whatever speed that is. Let's say, yeah, you're going to adapt. So now, even if let's say I consistently hit, 20 miles per hour. If in a game I'm running, 90% of that because I don't have my metronome, I'm still going to be faster than most players on the field. So I think like, yeah, you might not, benefit mentally from it, but like physiologically, if you make those changes, it's going to exhibit itself when you do perform.
And do you think there'd be a difference? Once again, this is me just brainstorming. It could not make sense, but it's a constant stimulus that is you're hearing. You know what I mean? It's hearing the beat. Do you think there would be a similar effect or a different effect if there was no beat, but maybe you were responding and reacting to the movement of someone's hand? So the hand was moving at 60 beats per minute, but there was no, you weren't hearing anything. It was just visual. Do you think that that would be similar, different, just kind of thinking through exposing people to different stimuli, but within the same idea?
No, yeah.
So like you're doing a whatever, instead of hearing the, like they're moving or they're clapping to that same cadence or whatever it is.
Yeah, Welty does the claps sometimes. So the clapping, once again, auditory stimulus. But I mean, that's something we could all go play around with. But I think that's the human body and about this whole world of performance is like, okay, we add in this auditory input. Well, how can we improve visual inputs? Like, how can we give ourselves some type of visual stimulus? Which you guys know a little bit, like Corey Peterson over at St. Thomas. I came back and showed you guys a little bit of that. Cal does it with the goat drill, but like we have all these systems, and you know, so many strength coaches are just thinking like the physical. We're not thinking about, you know, I know one of all three of our big things is like making decisions while you're in that chaos. So like that play aspect. But yeah, like how can we incorporate a visual component? How can we incorporate an auditory component? How can we get better at these parts that are outside of the physical that we still utilize in sport? Is so huge. And I think that's like one of the cool things about our class is we all would just idea. Okay, somebody implement this one, somebody implement that one, somebody do all three.
Yeah.
Go do it to your 7-year-olds at Central City and see if they can handle it.
Let me jump in quick. I love the point you made about the play because that's something I wanted to say. I texted Caden last night. Like, I don't watch much NFL, but I turned the Niners game on for like 5 minutes last night. And I watched Bijan make this one cut. Like, dude, that has nothing to do with what he's doing in his training. He's just has unbelievable instincts. Like, he gets the ball and there's just a free second level defender unblocked. And like the jump cut he made was unbelievable. And like, I love the point you made, Caden, because every cut that he makes is going to have some sort of a different rhythm or a different cadence to it.
Right.
It's still rhythm based though. You know what I mean?
You watch Bijan move and it's smooth. It's not choppy.
Like I was watching, you know, of course I was watching the Irish on Saturday night. And Jeremiah Love breaks free and he's setting up for a hurdle. Like you can see him start chopping his feet, but he's reading the safety and looking at if he's going to go low. Because if he's going to go low, he's going over top. He read the safety, realized he wasn't going low, and lowered his shoulder and got the extra 2 or 3 yards. So it's like the rhythm's present even we don't necessarily recognize it. Like sprinting's so predictable because we can have someone, like we can predict the amount of steps someone's going to take in a race. Like we know it's going to take so-and-so 46 steps to complete the 100-meter dash. Like there's a perfect rhythm to that. It's like it's increasing. Like in football or any other sport, it's different, yet there's still rhythm there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Griff, just to piggyback off your point, because you brought up Bijan, dude, you want to see an example of like just a guy out there playing around? Lamar college football highlights. Just go watch
Lamar NFL, bro.
Dude, it was like he was playing backyard football with 6th graders. Like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
When you watch Lamar, that's what I'm saying. You say it's against, you watch Lamar and it's so effortless. And I think that expression is which correlates a lot of elite athletes. Like you watch Bijan make that cut, it just looks easy for him. Like it looks natural. And that's why when we had that conversation about play and you guys do the same thing, it's what can we do to expose them to environments where they can just free flow. You know what I mean? Our role isn't to tell Bijan Robinson how to go move through space. It's not.
He doesn't need your help, coach.
And
that's my point. And I would love to actually kind of hear your thoughts on this, Sazz. As strength coaches, we play a role in that athlete's development. But when we're like talking about Bijan, his instincts are his instincts. And our goal is to create an environment that's going to allow him to express those things. So how do you guys do that with your athletes?
All right. So obviously, like we allow a ton of free play here. With the pros, the most fun, best example that we talked about on Yoakum's pod a ton is soccer tennis. So we made it. I mean, it's so competitive, dude. I gave out awards that I made on Canva, like printed them out, like MVP, comeback player of the year, leadership. So yeah, like we allow for a ton of free play. The college guys always warm up with sewer. You guys know what that is?
No.
Basically, you're juggling a soccer ball in a circle, and whoever like misses it, you're out. So then they go start the lift. It's actually hilarious. Like you have like 3 guys who start the lift 30 minutes later than everyone else because they were the last 3 in sewer. Yeah, we allow for a ton of free play. One of like probably the biggest things in our warm up, or you could do 5 minutes of imagine warming up, but yeah, allow for a ton of it. And then, like I was saying before, your freaks are going to be freaks at the end of the day. I mean, I remember best example is Johnny Walker. My freshman year, or his freshman year of high school, comes into the weight room benching 225, like as a 14-year-old freshman. Never touched a weight in his life. It's like, okay, clearly genetically he is just more advanced than me. You know what I mean? But I think where we make the biggest difference is, one, for those guys who are freaks, like what's going to keep them on the field and being able to be themselves. Take Christian McCaffrey, perfect example. He has Achilles tendonitis. Like that is something we can help, 1, prevent, 2, solve. I don't know why it took so long. I mean, they obviously have a great staff over there. So, there was something more going on than we could see, probably something more than just the physiological, because I'm sure they were taking care of that side. With tendons, I mean, you go listen to Tara talk about it, but I mean, we know it could be an emotional and endocrine thing. It could be your nutrition. Like with tendons, it could be so many things. I think that goes for just about like any injury, like we already touched on. But I think where we make the biggest difference is those like tweeners, those borderline guys. So like for us, it's guys who are between the ECHL and the AHL, the guys who are between the AHL and the NHL. And like obviously they have a substantial level of talent just to be able to play professionally, in this case hockey. But can we push that envelope just a little more physically or mentally, whatever it might be, to get them over that hump and to break through, whether it's like go from a first liner in the A to a 4th liner in the NHL. Like there's still a difference there. Caden, for you, getting guys called up from AAA or AA, whatever it might be, like you can make a huge difference for those guys.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's kind of the only analogy I could think of would be like a college freshman versus a college senior. Like, how do you develop that and take it to that next level to be able to play that next level of your sport?
Yeah.
So I think we make a huge difference for those guys. And then if you're working with like youth or high school athletes, you could be the difference in whether this kid goes to some crappy D1 or crappy D3, like Hobart. You could be the difference between D3 and D2 or whatever it might be, like between a kid having options basically, or just being stuck with, hey, I'm going to go JUCO and now I have to try and develop physically myself. You know what I mean? Because in JUCO, you don't get the same resources, even as D3. As 3 former D3 athletes ourselves, I think we all know that. Obviously, we all chose that. We all could have easily gone JUCO, I'm sure. Would we have been afforded more opportunity? I doubt it. Caden, maybe, you could hit the ball. But yeah.
He was a boomer though.
At the end of the day, I mean, I was still a 5'10", 184-pound white guy trying to play middle linebacker. Like, I'm sorry, but there's
Matthews type.
There's a genetic difference between me and the guy who is 6'2", 240 playing middle linebacker. Like, me and Fred Warner just don't move the same, unfortunately.
No.
But that's my point, I guess, is yes, there's gaps we need to fill. and that we can fill each individual based on their demand, we can't expect everyone to move the same way. And that's why there has to be time to allow the athlete to express themselves, because we don't want to do things that are going to change what makes that athlete that athlete.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to overcoach them. You don't want to pigeonhole them into being.
I think that happens all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
I think a lot of times strength coaches think there's one way to go about things, and there never is. And I get it. Like, it's resource dependent. Sometimes it's location dependent. How big is your group? How many athletes you have in front of you, et cetera. But I think it's important to note that each individual has inherent ability that makes them that individual. And I think we have to be able to put them in situations to highlight that, and then develop things that need to be developed to help assist in what makes them them.
Sometimes it's just as much about what you're not doing as it is about what you are doing.
One thing we want to do at the end of all our episodes is the person we talk to, we want to give a reference or someone that you think we should talk to on a future podcast. So who's someone that you have learned from and you think would be beneficial for Griffin and I to talk with?
Oh man.
And I know there's a lot. I know you kind of had that talk with Brett about your yeah.
If you guys can find DB Hammer, that would be sick.
Be nice.
Like, that would be insane. But oh man, I feel like I can't just say one guy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Fair.
Definitely don't have Joe Hotch on.
Shout out Hotch.
If I had to pick one person who I think will challenge your ideas and really present new perspectives, I'm going to say two people anyways.
That's fine.
We'll go two people from Massachusetts. Talk to Jake Ferry from Roots.
Oh yeah, we should have.
All right, Springfield alum, so he'll be willing. And he drinks the same Kool-Aid. That's what he calls it, but he drinks the same Kool-Aid. And then the big one, Adam Fight. Need to get him on.
Yeah,
The fight's coming on.
That one's in the works.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I shouted him out on the gap, but like, talk about just challenge your ideas. I love it. I love it.
That to Griff, I was like, that's going to turn into like an assignment.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a debate on your philosophy, but I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, just all right, like, Sazz, you do all these drop catches. Why? It's always why. It's like that Coach Sullivan presentation, 22 slides of why.
Why?
Yo, we gotta have Coach Sullivan on here.
That's a great way to end it. How do you
did
feel?
you finish? Yeah, how we
Did you cramp as bad as we did the very first time we did one props?
The face says it all.